Call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. We'll have an invocation by, who's doing the prayer? Is that you, Daniel? Councilwoman Tate, followed by the pledge by Councilman Stepp. If you'll please rise.
I'll just go the first three.
If you'll pray with me. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the city of Cartersville. We thank you for our employees and for all that they did for us through the storm, and that we didn't have any injuries. And we thank you, dear Lord, for all of that. Please lead and guide this council tonight as we make decisions. All this we ask in the holy and precious name.
Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Keeling, the roll, please.
Carrie Hodge, Ward 1. Here. Jay Stepp, Ward 2.
Here.
Louis Tonsmeyer, Ward 3.
Here.
Lindsay McDaniel, Ward 4.
Here.
Diane Tate, Ward 5.
Here.
Lori Pruitt, Ward 6.
Here.
Thank you, Connie. First order is to approve the council meeting minutes from the January 6th meeting. Council's had these well in advance of tonight. Chair will entertain any edits, additions, corrections, or motions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. We'll start the evening with a presentation of our fiscal year 2010 audit as performed by Lloyd Williamson. Good evening, Lloyd.
Well, let me pull this down. Y'all got this for somebody that's a little taller.
Got a little box in the back.
But, and I was telling Tom, this is the first time we've done PowerPoint presentations to show people this and that, but this is the first time in front of council doing it, so you'll have to give me a little allowance here with it. But I've tried to keep it short, sweet, and simple. Y'all spend enough time up here in the council with other issues, and this is something that occurred, and I'm always talking about numbers that happened in the past. Hopefully what you're doing is looking at what your finance officer is giving you monthly, letting you go over, and what this does is give you some assurance that what he's giving you, you can rely on. Fortunately, within the last couple of years, it has gotten a lot better. It's getting better every year. I've talked to a number of cities. I was at a council meeting Tuesday night. I was up at another city yesterday trying to get them to hire more people in the finance officer in that area, because it's getting so specialized, and you have to make decisions on the numbers that you're seeing month to month. So if we're coming in and making a lot of entries, what you're looking at and making decisions on is not reliable. Fortunately, a number of years ago, I was talking to Mike, who's y'all just hired, used to work for us. That happens a number of times. We had another CPA that just got hired from us by another client, which is great for him, but between what Tom has been doing and Mike, 5 years ago we'd put in 40, 50 journal entries, adjusting so that the financial statements would be in accordance with GAAP. This year we did, I think it was 6, of which Tom and Mike brought to our attention 5 of those 6. One of them we said, hey, we also need to do this. Then we had some other ones we talked about and decided not to, but that's a lot better than what it has been in the past. It's getting great, and so really we were able to do what we really call an audit instead of a truing up. So it was, sort of nice to do it.
I'm sure a lower bill would be reflected in that since we're doing all your work for you.
No, actually, what it is we had less write-off because it's on sort of we've told them we'd do it for this amount, and the reason we do that is being local. If we go up, then basically it trickles down, and we'll pay more in property taxes
Well, it
and
means
utilities.
you probably didn't lose any money on us this year.
So net of it, we didn't really lose any money this year.
Yeah.
Glad to hear you broke even. All right,
Yeah.
let's see.
So what happens is, this is the financial report for June 30th, 2010. Like I said, we're always working in the past. We don't work on anything what you did last month or projected to next month. The city did receive the GFOA certificate, which it's in the audit report on Roman numeral 7, I think it is. I can't read that far away, shoot. And it's for the prior year presentation. This is a certificate that very few cities are awarded. It's about a 64-page checklist. Volunteers, we've done it before. They send out to other CPA firms. I get a copy of it. I got my checklist. They meet all the criteria. If you get majority of those answers yes, then you get a certificate. If the majority of them are no, you don't. And very few of them get the certificate. I don't know whether you know the percentage, Tom, or not. I meant to look that up, but it's very few receive this. It helps you in a number of things. It keeps your bond rating up. If you're wanting to go for a GFA loan, you're almost, it's on a point system, 200 points. If you've got that certificate, you already automatically got 100 points. So if you're needing a GFA loan, it's, low interest loan from Georgia Environmental Facilities, you've almost guaranteed to get it. Next. The city also received an unqualified report. People always say, well, how did we do? An unqualified report is the best report we can give. We always have some comments. We look until we find something, and we did find one, and I'll go over that a little bit. But you did receive an unqualified report, meaning that everything that you're looking at, you should be able to rely on. There could be some minor variations, some minor classifications, but nothing material. That's all we're saying is that you can rely on these financial statements and the report that you're looking at monthly to be materially correct. Nothing material is needs to be changed. Now, you do have 124 pages in here. I'm trying to condense it down. The city has 21 different funds. I mean, you've got a lot of funds. You've got funds for hotel motel tax. You've got funds for this and all that. So what I'm keying in on are your major funds, the major ones that the city has had since its inception. When it started, you had the general fund, then you got the water and sewer, then you got the gas fund, you got the electric funds. Those are the main funds, excluding the capital projects, the SPLOS funds. But of the general funds and the other funds, these other little spreadsheets, I'll go over on those. The items in yellow is what I was, a lot of times I'm just keying in on the big changes. You'll see up there the intergovernmental and the due to other funds, but the intergovernmental in yellow, it changed from 2009 to 2010, went from 0 to 486,000. Basically, that is a reclassification in prior years. You'll see down there below it, due from component unit, due from other governments. The Department of Audits and people we have to follow guidelines of are always updating what to throw in what classifications. So basically what we did, we threw from due from other governments, due from component units up into intergovernmental. So intergovernmental now is made up from local option sales tax, made up of money due from Bartow County, who is also collecting your property tax, and from U.S. government or NOAA grants. So that's the main reason there was a change there. The due from other funds, there's a big change. Big swing went from $4,103,000 to $999,000. These are the due to froms. These are intergovernmental loans from, because you have one huge operating account, and it's just a timing difference. Well, with the new standards, and there was a lot of them that's just been hanging around in there that took money out of the operating fund years ago. It hadn't been paid back. Well, these are supposed to be current, meaning within the next year. So since they haven't, so it was reclassified to transfers, meaning it was moved to an income statement. So it's just a timing difference. It just an accounting. So really wasn't any really big change in there. But the $991,000 you're seeing there now should be paid back to the general fund within the next 12 months, prior to June 30th of 2011. Whereas the $4 million in prior years had just been hanging around. And finally, you had enough cash sitting there that the other funds could pay it back, and that's all it was on that. Same thing with the due to other funds. It was what the general fund, that was just a timing, and it just changed. Same thing. Same thing as the due from. These were just, they could have been netted together. The unreserved comes in from, this is money that has been no designation other than the general fund, the operating fund of the city at these city's discretion. You can decide on, you got something you want to spend it for. It wasn't budgeted, come up with it, and you can spend it, you know, within reason.
I noticed in your notes that you talked about how this wasn't quite high enough based on our policies. You know what that number ought to be?
Normally, most cities, like anywhere, it depends on what your comfort level is, 3 to 6 months worth of operating expenses. So in other words, you look at your general fund.
Total general fund and then 3 to 6 months of that.
Yeah, if you normally take $40 million worth of per year, divide that by 12 times 3 to 6.
Right.
That's what you sort of, so you're
Little
really a
low.
little low.
Yeah, okay.
So you really, it's unreserved, it hadn't been designated, but you're still, for comfort, a lot of cities like, say, 6 months. So that means you really would want around 20 million there.
But it's better than it was last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, the next slide. This is your, in all of these, you can find this on page 27 of the audit report, this sheet. And so what I'm doing is I'm pulling in from page 25 from 2009 and from page 27 of 2010 and putting them together so that you can see the change. So a lot of people like to see the change. Now, you've got a 10-year comparison in the statistical section back there of all of these, but they're a little more condensed. So what I did was leave them so they matched the pages exactly on page 27, but I also pulled in the prior year, so you can see where the changes are. The taxes here, you'll see the taxes increased $3,317,000. You can say, whoa, you know, that's great. Well, the main reason of that is here again, the Department of Audit says franchise taxes, and talking with Tom and Mike, they decided, okay, realistically, the franchise fees that the city charges, the other funds charges, your enterprise funds, the gas, electric, water, and sewer, would better be reflected as property or as taxes rather than charges for services. Because you'll see charges for services decreased $3,900,000. Taxes increased $3,300,000. That's because we reclassed where they were reported. The franchise fees that the city operating the general fund charged the proprietary funds for 2009 were $3,863,000. What they charged them for June 30th, 2010 was $3,601,000. This is what the operating fund charges: electric franchise fees, gas franchise fees. These are proprietary funds, and if it was a, Georgia Power coming in, they're going to have to pay franchise. So you're doing your own, so you're paying it.
Well, we did that some years back because we were receiving
And
criticism
so what we're
from
doing
those
here
folks
is
for not
just
doing that.
changing the, this has been going on for years, but instead of calling them charges for services, we're putting them up there where the other franchise fees would be reported up there with that. The transfers in down there, the $4,223,054, all of that comes from your enterprise funds. The city's been very fortunate. They got into the business of providing electric, gas, water, and sewer. A lot of cities provide water and sewer. Few cities were fortunate enough to get into the gas and electric when it was cheap enough to do it. Unfortunately, there have been some cities that were foolish enough to sell their electric and gas. We've got several of those, and they wish they'd never done that. Because if it wasn't for your proprietary funds, they shift over their profit, which was $4,223,000 in 2010. That enabled you to keep your property tax low, is what that does. So if it had not been for that, you'd have had to generate this money elsewhere. Where does the city generate most of their money? Property taxes. So you'd have had to increase your millage. So it saved the city residents a good bit of money by doing that. The other fund balance at year end, you'll see where that change came from on the next spreadsheet, which is the income and revenues. And that comes in from revenues less expenditures. It's change in fund balance. This is comparing the water, sewer, electric, and gas fund. This spreadsheet almost got a little too big to put on here, but I still squeezed it in. A lot of people say, well, how did we do this year compared to last year? You can see up there your cash in the electric water and sewer fund went from $1,734,000 to $2,637,000, an increase of $903,000. The electric fund, it wasn't really an increase of $2,497,000. It was a bank overdraft of $422,000 shown on the next page. So the net change here was $2,074,000. So it was that much better off June 30th, 2010 compared to the prior year. Accounts receivables net. This one I'll discuss a little later. It's one of our, we're talking about a deficiency in internal controls related to utility billing, so I'll go over that a little bit in a few minutes. Talking about those. There wasn't much change, all we're wanting to do, and I'll go over that. But you'll see the accounts receivables are staying fairly stable net across there. There was probably only a change of minus $6,000 between all three funds. But it's the estimated uncollectibles that I want to go over in just a few minutes. Let's see the next page. Oh, got to look up a little more. Total current liabilities. All I'm doing is hitting the ones that had big changes. You'll see total current liabilities. The water and sewer increased $226,000. Electric fund decreased to $107,000. The big change in the gas fund was due to FRUMs. It owed the most to the operating account, so it reduced that. So that decreased the current about $2,200,000 in the gas fund. The bond funds down there in the water and sewer. You're fortunate that the electric and gas have no bonds outstanding. It's all water and sewer. The CD did pay off $2,215,000 in bonds in 2010, plus some interest stuff, but they reduced their liability, long-term liabilities, $2,215,000. Let's see the next one. Okay. Operating income. Most cities, if they were able to increase at all, they were, very glad that they had an increase. Your water and sewer increased $589,000. Electric and gas. Electric decreased $2,800,000, $4,597,000. A lot of that had to do with industries moving, closing down businesses, people watching what they, watching their rates. As many customers as you have, people start conserving more, it makes a big difference on that. The operating income, you'll see the operating income for the water and sewer actually increased $550,000. The good thing about the electric and gas is your demand goes down, so does your cost of that demand, because you're buying for it as it meets. So even though your sales in the electric decreased $2,869,000, your cost of goods that you were having to buy decreased, so you ended up increasing gross operating income $448,000 in electric. Same thing in the gas, you increased it $3,500,000 because the markup between what you're buying it, what you're selling it, you didn't have to buy it, so you didn't have to pay for it. And that enabled you to transfer more money to the general fund. Here again, here's where the transfers down here, transfers out. All of these transfers, the $1,450,000, $649,000, $1,955,000, all that went to the general fund. You'll see that big item, $5,298,000. Difference in, this is in the electric fund, difference of $3,300,000 from prior year. In that MEAG, there was a special transfer in September of '09 of $4 million. You have a MEAG trust, and you're affiliated with an association, and there was $4 million.
Why do we even show that?
Do what?
Why do we even show that on our books?
Well, here again, a lot of times what you're doing on the financial report is someone up in Washington, D.C. or New York City said you have to do, and you do have equity in there.
Right.
If you wanted to, I don't know what it is right now, but they send you a report periodically. If you had to tap into it, you could write them a letter and pull out.
Well, we don't want to.
You know, you don't want to, but you could pull out, I don't know, probably $6 million or more. I don't know what it is exactly. It varies. So really it is an asset, so they wanted it, you put it, you'll get it back,
Okay.
you know. The prior period adjustments, most of these prior period adjustments are still, in years past, the biggest thing we have to worry about and deal with from year after year, and most cities never did until about 15 years ago, never kept track of their assets. And believe it or not, you would buy a John Deere tractor, you'd buy a piece of land, you'd pay for a building, you expensed it, forgot about it. Didn't really forget about it, but you didn't keep record for it. So every year we're finding more and more, or the city is, they're finding more and more assets. Oh, we need to add it on here, we need to take it off. Should have been taken off because they got rid of it. It's little items like that, I think that was most. There's a footnote disclosure in there talking about all these little prior period adjustments, but that's where the majority of them come forward related to fixed assets, normally. The other one, next page. On page 27, budgeted statements. The city did not exceed budget in any department and came under budget actually by $4,367,000. That's budgeted revenues compared to budgeted expenditures. Most cities I've been talking with, two of them this week, other ones, everybody's scared the money wasn't coming in, so hold back spending, hold back spending. Well, money came in close to what they were, but they still held back on spending, so most people are coming under budget, which is real good. Hopefully you don't see a big splurge of spending this year. So page 22, the capital project. This is another major fund, but I didn't go into it, but it's really pretty much designated. You have to spend it for what you told them on the referendum. You received $5,496,000 in revenue, spent $6,804,000, and as of the June 30th, 2010, you had $8,631,000 still in these SPOS funds or capital project funds that are to be earmarked and are earmarked for capital expenditures in the upcoming years. Page 34 of your audit report, the City Retirement Fund has $22,630,000 in total assets. This reflects a gain in the fund of $1,704,000. Which sounds real good until you compare it to June 30th, 2009. June 30th, 2009, you had a loss in value of assets of $3,096,000. So you gained about 50% of it back. I don't know what it is now. I'm sure y'all get a report periodically, but if everything goes like it has been looking, you should hopefully June 30th of 2011 be back where you were prior to June 30th of 2009, hopefully, on that. Page 36 and 37, this area in there on the audit report deals with the component units, Downtown Development Authority, Cartersville Building Authority, and Cartersville School Board. All of this information is pulled from their audit reports and put in selectively at various parts in your audit report. So if you really want to look at theirs, really the best thing to do is get a copy of their audit report, which is all you have to do is go to the state's website or call the, we've even got the location in the, on these pages 35, 36, 37, got the mailing address. You can write a letter to them and they'll send you a copy. Probably you can walk across the street and get them, you know, so. Page 77, employee retirement funding. The reason I keep pulling on this is, you hear this in the news more and more, the retirement funding, unfunded portion is really rocked a lot of the major corporations. You hear it a lot of times, General Motors and some of these others. The reason they were having to declare bankruptcy is because of the unfunded portion of the retirement. The city of Cartersville is fairly fortunate. Really, yours is almost 85% funded. So, you know, you don't have much of a problem there.
These numbers, though, these aren't yours. These are the actuarial.
These are the actuarial
Okay.
numbers. These are not our numbers.
Okay.
We rely on experts. The
Okay.
experts say this is it. But the reason I pulled this in here is so that you can see from 2005 to 2010, your asset values have increased $4,071,000. Your liability, this is what they expect you'll pay out, has actually decreased to $1,541,000. That's because of their expectation of people dropping out, dying, taking buyouts. The formulas they use in there is, I mean, they've got huge spreadsheets. So overall, you've increased your unfunded portion from $10,500,000 to $4,900,000. So you're over $5 million better off June 30th, 2010 than you were 5 years ago, is what I was trying to point out to this. I didn't want to just talk about the good stuff and the bad, so I was wanting to point out this too. Pages 81 to 96, and I haven't reflected on these, but you can look through there, and hopefully you've had these reports for a while. And if you want a copy, if you like a copy on email to look at on a PDF or something like that at your home at your leisure, Tom can send you a copy. We can send you a copy. You can go to the state's website, download a copy. So this is public information. Anybody's available to look at it at your leisure. But those, it's got all of the other little funds in there. And I just didn't go, you know, hotel, motel tax, the rental car tax.
Internal service, the internal funds too.
Yeah, and all the information's over there. Schedule of findings, what we consider major deficiency. This is one I was talking about earlier. This is, it's been an issue, and it's held up the city from closing out. The closing out of the trial balance is, we do interim work periodically during the year, so we don't have to do all of it
I think so.
as soon as he gives us the trial balance. If we waited and did all this as soon as he gave us the trial balance, then we only have from that date until the year end to get it issued, and we can't do that. It's been causing them to, because they're getting it reconciled from the utility billing, and that's where I mean, it's very lengthy. We spent a lot of time in there this year, and that's, I don't want to go into all that right now, but I'll be glad to sit down with any of you, a little more detail on that. But it just, you've got a lot of customers in this database that needs to be cleared out so it's easier to reconcile. That's one issue. The reconciliation is another issue. But you've got clients in there going back 8 years, 9 years, that are still in there as estimated uncollectibles. Once you determine that they're uncollectible and you aren't going to get the money, let's write them off. And that helps clean up the database. It makes it a little easier. Instead of reconciling it yearly, they've changed to quarterly. We still recommend they reconcile it monthly. It'll hopefully get to that point now that they've got more people in the finance department that'll take some of the workload off of them. Before it was Dan and Tom and Renee up there, and I mean, that's, you know, with everything going in, you've got 21 businesses, 21 funds, 21 businesses you're trying to reconcile. You don't have time for all this other little stuff. But this is something that really needs to be addressed, and they're really working hard on that. And this year, we would have had it issued, and would have more likely made the December council meeting, we hope, because we were ready, they were ready. We just had to wait on a component unit that was delayed and delayed and delayed. I don't want to get into that. That's, but you know, that's what you get for going out of town. So, but
a little commercial moment here.
overall, I think the city did a lot better this year. You know, you're in great, I think, financial shape. The fund balance, yeah, it could be better, but there's a lot of big cities. I think Atlanta would love to have a fund balance like that. But I think you've done did real well this year. It went a lot smoother. Hopefully next year it just keeps getting a little better, so that we can really do what we call an audit instead of truing up work and cleanup work. And,
well, in
that's
a perfect world, we want to prepare the report and you write the letter.
That would be, and Mike, he doesn't know whether he'll do it this coming year. He's really working on it between him and Tom and Mike. Maybe not this year, but hopefully the next year when we come in and do the audit, they hand us this. When we're through, we give them page 1,
Right.
and that's it.
Right.
That's the way we should do it.
Right.
Because it says, it doesn't say in here, we have prepared the audit report. It says we have audited your financial statements. And that's what we want to get to. And eventually it will. And I always say this, if you have any questions, and I know it's a lot in there, but if you have any, if you had a chance to look at it, you wanted something specifically to ask, I'll be glad to try to address it, and if I can't answer it, Tom probably can.
Lloyd, I have a question. Do you know of a city our size that has the financial staff to actually hand that document to you? I mean, is that a reality or just something to try to do?
A city that's actually doing it, we was down talking about sitting, giving a proposal to them, and it was Powder Springs, Powder Springs. I know Bartow County does. Can't say anything about Bartow County. You still can't even go on the website and find 2008 yet.
Well, and one thing too you have to consider is that they're not gonna be as complex as we are. You know, they're not gonna have,
Yeah.
they're not gonna have the utilities we
No, the
have.
Oh, you know, some of these
Enterprise
cities
funds.
down there, you think, everybody hears of Buckhead, of Dunwoody, of Peachtree City, and you think, well, that's a big city. No, you go and look at their website, and they might have a general fund and capital projects and a couple of special revenue funds. I mean, very, as far as we're concerned, simple. You know, the volume on property taxes, they're, you know, might be huge, but their audit report might be 42 pages long. I mean, you know, it's, you've got a lot of business in here, close to something like Columbus, Macon, some of those like that. Not quite as bad as Atlanta. But, any
All
other?
right. Anybody else?
That it?
Take a look.
Okay.
Thanks.
So if you have any questions, like I said, you can send Tom, you can find my email, go to wcps.com, click on it, send me an email, and I'll get back with you. So,
Very good, thank you.
thank you.
We have a second reading of ordinances. Bobby?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. This is the second reading of the amendment to the motor vehicle and traffic ordinance. There have been no additions or deletions since the first reading. The amendment prohibits trucks over 6 wheels from making right turns onto North Irvin Street from West Main Street traveling westbound. It was brought about by a local business that had a truck run into the side of the business, and the turn coming off West Main Street onto North Irvin traveling westbound is just too tight for a large truck to make that turn.
When we last spoke, you said that you're going to get approval from the DOT to put a sign on that pole. Any discussion?
I haven't heard back from them, but we don't feel like there'll be an issue at all.
Okay. Very good.
We just have to make the sign and get some brackets and get that.
Good. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the change ordinance.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Bobby. We have an appointment to the Planning Commission. Randy?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is an appointment to fill the unexpired term of Mr. Robert Ed Hicks, the appointment of the Ward 1 councilperson. Mr. Hicks served for more than 10 years and is now moving out of the city jurisdiction, and he had resigned at the December Planning Commission meeting. With that, Kerry Hodge has nominated Travis Popham to fill that unexpired term, which runs through January 31st of 2014. With that, your action on this item is recommended.
Any discussion? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Continue on, Randy.
Thank you again. This is an annual report that we have to do based on the city having an impact fee ordinance in place. We are required to go through and annually update our capital improvement element portion of the city's comprehensive plan, which includes a financial report and a 5-year short-term work program. If we didn't have impact fees, it actually would have to be updated every 5 years, though we do have an impact fee ordinance in place. As you're aware, the fees have been reduced to 0, but we still have an active ordinance. Because of that, we continue to comply with the state requirements, have reworked the document. We had a public hearing on it in November. With that, we got the financial report updated by Tom, and the department heads updated the information that's included in the 5-year short-term work program. It's been submitted to the Department of Community Affairs. They have approved the document, and now, through formality purposes, we have to do the resolution and physically adopt it and forward it to them in the final version. Again, they have sent a letter that should have been included in your package saying they've reviewed it and approved it. With that, we recommend your approval of this resolution.
Okay, just to note, there is one edit to the verbiage in that to include the attachment.
That is correct, Mayor. The resolution now notes, I gave my notes on it to the city clerk, so she had the exact verbiage that would be required. But what it does, it actually mentions as an attachment the actual document itself. Before, the resolution didn't mention the attachment that we're approving, so it now has that verbiage in it.
So when and if a motion is made, it needs to, motion needs to be amended to include the attached, the attachment.
The amended resolution
Amended
that
resolution.
mentions the attachment, yes.
What that language is just adding the phrase, attached as Exhibit A and incorporated herein by reference.
I think you really did it just to confuse the council tonight on making a motion.
To enter the discussion on this item, who's got the nerve to make this motion and get that verbiage down there?
I'll be glad to try. I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution for the updated capital improvement element, CIE for impact fees, resolution and also attachment as amended by our city attorney. Amen.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Randy. Come on, Rebecca.
This is for a redesign of the website. We had our current website designed by Civic Plus about 4 or 5 years ago, and it needs a little bit of updating as far as design and the technical aspects of it. So for $4,800, they've offered to give us a new banner, design the layout of the page, and this will include a banner for the DDA as well. The DDA is going to contribute $1,000 to that $4,800 to offset that. And at the end of 48 months of this agreement, they will update the entire website and redesign the entire website for no additional cost.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Rebecca on this item? If not, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Dan.
Yes, Mayor and Council, with the forthcoming of the new fire station number 4 in MLK, we're going to have to tear down fire station number 2, which is in the same location, and need to get you to do a formality, which is Bartow Health Access contract we have since 2007. Just terminate the contract, allow them to stay through February of this year, and they are aware of that move, and they're pending to move out like February 15th or so, but give them until the end of February. I anticipate that building probably sometime in March to be scheduled for demolition.
Any discussion?
Have you found a new home?
How much additional property did we buy, purchase behind that building?
So third of an acre, maybe?
It was between a third and a half of an acre. It was like 0.42 or something weird.
We're very close to finding an alternative place.
Any other discussion? Anybody want to make a motion?
I'd make the motion, but afterwards may I offer some thanks on behalf of Bartow Health Access, but I'll make the motion to terminate the lease for the old fire station on Martin Luther King with Bartow Health Access.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
If I may express my appreciation to the city for that cooperative effort and how much we've appreciated having use of that building. What Bartow Health Access is, the name implies, is that we help people get access to health services. And this past year we had about 2,300 clients. And We provided over $1.5 million worth of medical services, either in terms of services or medication. And it was a wonderful place to be.
Glad you could use it.
Thank you.
Mayor, may I express my appreciation to Mr. Tonsmeyer and the leadership that he gave that, because I know a number of people participated, Louis, but it was a passion for yours, and so thank you so much. It has made a difference.
I agree.
I'd like to ask Mr. Tonsmeyer a small question. Of those 2,300, do you sort of reach out? The reason why I'm asking this question because I've helped some foreign people like Hawaiians go to Talatuna and DFAX and what have you. Does that organization reach out to them also?
We have no restrictions about citizenship to serve people.
No, what I'm saying is, do they know to come to you? That's all I'm saying. I know you wouldn't turn them down.
I cannot answer the question about how many people know, but generally there's a pretty good system of people sharing information who look for those kind of services. We can always inform others that the service is available.
The reason why I ask because those that I tried to help was sort of blank, not knowing where to go. And the reason why because they are renting property across Moon Street, Highland Drive, up in there, and I wanted to pay the rent on time, so I was trying to help them, get all that.
Send them our way. Thank you.
Makes sense.
Come on, Ed.
Council. The first item we have with the water department is our 36-inch water main was damaged by a backhoe operator working for New Riverside Ochre on their property. And we attempted to repair this damage using a standard repair clamp. We weren't successful with that. It's currently leaking. But we were able to locate a foundry through HD Supply Waterworks in Kennesaw that could fabricate a repair band, and they were able to give us a 1-week turnaround. The other foundries that we contacted had several week turnaround. The cost of this item is $10,975, and we recommend approval of purchase of this band. They have provided us with the E-Verify and Save documentation.
Once you get this this repair band, how long will the work take to finish the repair?
Actually, we think we can complete it in 1 day once we have the band.
All right. Chair, will entertain a motion.
Move approval of this bid purchase award for the 36-inch, for the band for the 36-inch water main.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. We have a change order.
Currently, we have a water and sewer projects ongoing on Wells Street and on Johnson Street as part of the Wells Street Storm Drain Project. We've encountered unforeseen conditions on both of these projects, which included concrete underlayment under the pavement, which required saw cutting of the pavement. Then beneath that, we found the trench material where these sewers and water lines were going to be unsuitable for achieving backfill. So we're having to bring in suitable backfill, then dispose of this unsuitable material. For both of these projects, we see the Johnson Street project an anticipated increase of $66,500. For the Wells Street portion would be $40,200. I would like to note that even with these increases, it brings them in line with the next lowest bidder on these projects. And TJ Lyle, the contractor there, has always been a very responsive contractor. We feel like they've given us very competitive prices for these items. This work, any part that's not covered by the Wells Street grant will be covered by, paid for with SPLOST funds.
Okay. And to their defense, I mean, this type of change order is, I mean, just when you're getting into some old areas of construction, you never know what you're gonna see, and I guess they've found an awful lot down in there.
You know, the unsuitable material is a very hard item to wrestle with. It's hard to bid it out. If we had included it in the contract and had them bid prices, we may very well have ended up with higher prices. Then particularly if we'd gone with the next lowest bidder, we would probably still be dealing with these additional charges. So, you know, we feel these are very fair prices.
Okay. Any other questions?
Are we nearing completion of this project?
They are about to start on replacement of the sewer in Wells Street. They've pretty much got the sewer replaced in Johnson Street, and then the portion of sanitary sewer that goes from Johnson Street to Wells Street. So we've been hampered by the weather, you know, with the snow and all. But they're pressing forward as quickly as they can.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ed. And we started with numbers tonight. We'll end with numbers tonight. Come on, Tom.
I hope to keep my presentation a little bit shorter than Lloyd's was, so. We'll get
A lot shorter
started.
than Lloyd's Wood's fine too.
We'll get started with the November 2010. In the general fund, the revenues decreased over November 2009 by $334,000. This is due to a timing circumstance that we have with the property tax payment receipts. I have looked ahead, and in December, those numbers for the property taxes have corrected themselves. The expenses in the general fund have increased by $40,000. 3 years of revenue I look at on a monthly basis are the local option sales tax. We've increased that one over 2009 by $83,000. Police fines and forfeitures we've also increased by nearly $20,000. And building permits and inspections have decreased by $7,000. The water and sewer fund revenues have decreased over November 2009 numbers by $164,000. This is due largely to the decrease in capacity fees. Expenses decreased by $290,000, and this is attributable to lower debt service cost and lower capital expenses. In the gas fund, revenues have increased over November 2009 by $767,000. This is due to a larger volume of gas being consumed. Expenses have increased by $1.03 million, and if you remember, this is the time of the year that the gas department usually buys gas at a lower rate and then intends to sell over the next couple of months. Electric fund revenues have decreased from last year by $406,000. Expenses have increased by $927,000 due largely to the increase of the cost of purchased electricity. Stormwater fund revenues decreased over November last year by $8,500, while expenses have increased by $139,000, and then this is due to the capital expenditures that's going on in the stormwater fund. Solid waste fund revenues have increased over November 2009 by a little over $18,000, and expenses have decreased by $95,000 due mainly to the timing of the lease pool payments. The payments have been made, but they have not been recorded as of the month of November. They should be recorded in the month of December. And finally, in the fiber optics fund, revenues have increased over November 2009 by $169,000. If you remember, back in September, we received a payment from Kentucky Data Link for the completion of the data fiber network. Expenses in this fund have decreased by $50,000 due mainly to the lower statewide telecom payments and lower capital expenses. And that is my report for the evening.
Questions for Tom?
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Any other business that needs to come before council this evening?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is just information back from y'all. We have 95% completed our renovation for lighting on Field 1, and the contractor, we cut the lights on today, and those lights will have to burn in for 100 hours, so that Field 1 lights will be on till Monday morning. So, you know, when y'all get phone calls, it'll be on all night long, but that's what it's for. It's the
manufacturer's recommendation to burn that lighting system in. So,
Field 1 is?
Field 1 at Dillinger Park.
Trying to think where that is.
It's the one that's right adjacent to the football field when you, as soon as you walk in. It's the first one, that's right, isn't it?
What's what
It's
call
not
number
shining through
one.
my window, so I'm all right.
It shouldn't be. It
All
shouldn't be. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
If you don't mind, I'd like to extend some thank yous to Mr. Ed Hicks for his time on the planning commission. I did not do that earlier, my apologies, should have, but thank you, Mr. Hicks, for all your time and service, and we look forward to having Travis on the board.
I'd like to say something about public service, public works people and everybody else in the city of Cartersville for an excellent job doing the ice and snow. And received lots of compliments and appreciation, and I think by watching television and what was happening in Atlanta, Decatur, and other places that are supposed to know how to do things, they don't know how to do it. And we're glad the folks here know how to do it. We thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
And Mayor, I'd like to add electric, because from my vantage point on Main Street around 3:30, they lost a big tree, and the electric department was out there really early getting power back on, and that was on Tabernacle. The day of the storm, downtown, the police department was moving around, thank the chief, and Public Works. Sam Rose was in the car with Bull and checking on everything. We had white trucks with just the plows on the front, and we were not shut down in the city of Cartersville. That's true. Thank you all.
Anybody else? I'll add the gas, fire, and police departments.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh.